The ocean whispers to me in colors. Today it speaks in swirling teals and deep indigos as I stand before my easel in my beachfront studio, trying to capture the morning light dancing across the waves. My brushstrokes flow with the rhythm of the tide, each movement an attempt to translate nature's poetry onto canvas. I've always found peace here, where the salt air mingles with the scent of oil paints and turpentine. My studio, a converted boathouse with weathered white walls and expansive windows, has become my sanctuary over the years. Scattered around me are various works in progress, all centered around marine life and ocean conservation. It's my way of screaming into the void about what we're losing, one coral reef, one species at a time. The morning light streams through the windows, illuminating particles of dust that float like suspended plankton. I step back from my current piece, a massive canvas depicting a pod of whales moving through waters increasingly clouded by plastic waste. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm using manufactured materials to critique our destruction of natural habitats. But art has always been about these contradictions. My phone buzzes with a reminder. The Marine Conservation Gala is tonight. As one of the featured artists, I should be more excited, but these events always leave me feeling slightly out of place. I'm more comfortable here, barefoot and paint-splattered, than in cocktail dresses and heels. Still, it's an opportunity to get my message in front of people who can make a difference. I wipe my hands on my already paint-stained apron and glance at the invitation again. The keynote speaker catches my eye. Dr. Ethan Rivera, presenting his groundbreaking research on coral reef rehabilitation. I've followed his work in environmental journals, admiring how he combines innovation with preservation. His approach to marine conservation mirrors what I try to achieve through my art, finding new ways to protect what we have left. The waves crash against the shore outside, a constant reminder of why I do this. Every painting, every exhibition, every gala is another chance to make people see what I see, the beauty we're losing and the hope we still have to save it. Tonight, I'll put on that cocktail dress and those uncomfortable heels, and I'll try to translate my passion into words that might move someone to action. But for now, I have a few more hours with my canvas, my brushes, and the endless inspiration of the sea. I dip my brush in a mixture of cerulean and white, ready to capture another moment of this ever-changing view. This is where I belong, where my art and activism merge into something greater than myself. This is where I can make waves of my own.
These events always feel like wearing someone else's skin. I adjust my bow tie for the 100th time, scanning the crowded ballroom of the Maritime Museum. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the assembled conservationists, donors, and activists, but my mind keeps drifting to the lab results I left behind. That's when I see her. She stands before one of her paintings, a massive canvas that seems to pulse with life. The way she's captured the bioluminescence of deep-sea creatures is extraordinary, scientifically accurate, yet hauntingly ethereal. But it's the artist herself who stops me in my tracks. Clara Bennett moves with a quiet grace, her emerald green dress flowing like seagrass in the current. There's a splash of blue paint behind her ear that she missed, and somehow that small detail makes her even more intriguing. I find myself gravitating toward her, my prepared speech forgotten. She's explaining the symbolism of the dying coral in her piece to a small group, and her passion radiates through every word. Her hands move expressively as she speaks, painter's hands, strong and sure. The fluorescence we see here, she's saying, is actually a stress response from the coral, beauty born from desperation. Too much like your work itself, I hear myself say. She turns, and I'm struck by eyes the color of a shallow reef. The way you've captured the precise wavelength of the bioluminescent reaction is remarkable. A smile plays at the corners of her mouth. Dr. Rivera, I presume? I recognized you from your TED Talk on biomimicry and marine conservation. Ethan, please. My heart races as she extends her hand. I've been following your work as well, Ms. Bennett. Your series on plastic pollution in the Pacific Gyre moved me to tears. Clara, she corrects, and there's a warmth in her voice that makes me forget about the crowded room. And here I thought scientists were immune to emotional responses. On the contrary, I step closer, drawn into her orbit like the moon pulling at the tides. The best science comes from passion, just like the best art, I imagine. We fall into conversation as naturally as breathing. She asks about my research with genuine curiosity, and I find myself sharing details I've never told anyone outside my team. When she describes her process of studying marine life for her paintings, I'm captivated by the way she bridges the gap between scientific observation and emotional truth. The evening blurs around us. We migrate from her painting to the balcony overlooking the harbor, where the moon paints a silver path across the water. She shivers slightly in the evening breeze, and I resist the urge to wrap my jacket around her shoulders, too cliché, too forward. "You know," she says, turning to face me, "I've never met anyone who understands both the science and the soul of the ocean quite like you do." The moonlight catches the silver flecks in her eyes, and I realize I'm in dangerous waters. This woman, with her artist's heart and researcher's mind, has completely disarmed me. Everything I thought I knew about maintaining professional distance at these events has dissolved like salt in the sea. "Would you like to continue this conversation over dinner sometime?" The words escape before I can second-guess them. There's a little place right on the beach that serves amazing seafood, all sustainable, of course. Her laugh is musical, genuine. "I'd like that very much, Ethan." As we exchange numbers, our fingers brush, and I feel an electric current that has nothing to do with marine biology and everything to do with chemistry of a different sort. I've spent my career studying the mysteries of the deep, but Clara Bennett might be the most fascinating discovery yet.
Spring unfolds like a time-lapse of blooming sea anemones, beautiful, swift, and utterly mesmerizing. Every moment with Ethan feels like discovering a new shade of blue I never knew existed. Our first dinner turned into a second, then a third, and now my days are woven with his presence, like threads of gold through canvas. Tonight, we're walking along the beach at sunset, our fingers intertwined. Ethan stops to explain the feeding patterns of the sandpipers darting along the shore, and I find myself sketching him in my mind, the way his eyes light up when he talks about his work, how the sea breeze ruffles his dark hair, the precise gesture of his hands as he mimics a bird's movement. "You're staring," he says, pulling me closer. "I'm studying," I correct him, reaching up to trace the line of his jaw. Artists need to understand their subjects thoroughly. He laughs, the sound mixing with the crash of waves. "And what exactly are you planning to do with these observations, Ms. Bennett?" "I have a new series in mind," I admit, about the human connection to the ocean. "Would you model for me?" Instead of answering, he kisses me. His lips taste like salt air and possibility, and I melt into him like watercolors bleeding together. Every kiss with Ethan feels like this, both grounding and weightless, like floating in warm ocean currents. Back in my studio, I'm painting more than ever. My work is changing, evolving. The pieces are still about marine conservation, but there's a new element of hope, of connection. Ethan brings me coffee and stands behind me, his arms wrapped around my waist as I work. He understands my need for silence when I'm in the flow, just as I respect his late nights at the lab when he's close to a breakthrough. "Look at this," he says one evening, showing me slides of his latest research. We're curled up on my paint-splattered couch, the setting sun casting long shadows through the studio windows. His excitement is contagious as he explains how his team might have found a way to accelerate coral growth in damaged reefs. "It's beautiful," I whisper, but I'm not just looking at the slides. I'm looking at him, at us, at this thing we're building together that feels as vast and deep as the ocean itself. Later, when we're tangled in my sheets, the moonlight painting patterns across our skin, I trace the constellation of freckles on his shoulder and think about how love sneaks up on you. One moment you're admiring someone's mind, their passion, their work, and the next you're drowning in feelings so intense they take your breath away. "A deliberate practice. What are you thinking about?" he murmurs into my hair. "How you've changed my art," I say. "How you've changed everything." He props himself up on an elbow, looking at me with those eyes that seem to hold all the mysteries of the deep. Show me. I lead him to my newest canvas, still wet in places. It's a piece I've been working on in secret, a massive painting of two sea dragons dancing in their elaborate courtship ritual. The colors swirl and blend, passion and science intertwined in every brushstroke. In the background, hope blooms like coral, bright and alive. Clara, he breathes, understanding immediately. This is us. It's always been us, I say. And when he kisses me again, I know that some things are meant to be, like the pull of the tides, or the eternal dance of predator and prey. Ethan and I were as natural as the ocean itself, as inevitable as the waves meeting the shore. Every day we build something new together, a bridge between art and science, between passion and precision. In my wildest dreams, I never imagined finding someone who could match my love for the ocean, who could understand both the scientist and the artist in me. But here he is, my marine biologist, my muse, my partner in protecting the seas we both love so deeply. And I'm falling like rain into the endless blue of us.
The email from the International Marine Conservation Institute sits heavy in my inbox like an anchor. Project director for their new manta ray conservation initiative, it's the kind of opportunity marine biologists dream about. The giant oceanic manta ray population has declined by more than 50% in the past decade, and this project could revolutionize our approach to protecting them. But as I read through the details, my stomach tightens. 3 years minimum commitment. Primary bases in Indonesia and Mozambique, with additional research sites across the Pacific and Indian Oceans. The project starts in 2 weeks. My eyes keep drifting to the framed photo on my desk, Clara and me on the beach. Her hair wild in the wind, both of us laughing at some forgotten joke. I find myself driving to her studio, the setting sun painting the sky in the exact colors she uses in her ocean scenes. She's working on a new piece when I arrive, her hair tied up messily, wearing my old marine biology conference t-shirt that she's claimed as her painting shirt. The sight of her makes my heart ache. "Clara," I say, and something in my voice makes her put down her brush immediately. "What is it?" She turns, and there's a streak of cobalt blue across her cheek. I want to wipe it away, to hold her, to tell the IMCI they need to find someone else. Instead, I show her the email on my phone. She reads it carefully, her eyes widening at certain parts. When she looks up, there's a mix of pride and pain in her expression that mirrors exactly what I'm feeling. "The Manta Ray Project?" she whispers. "Ethan, this is incredible. This could change everything we know about their migration patterns, their breeding grounds." "It means leaving," I say, the words feeling like glass in my throat. For at least 6 months, different continents, constant travel, I'd be tracking their movements across the world's oceans. She sets the phone down and walks to her wall of windows, staring out at the ocean. The silence stretches between us like an expanding universe. "You have to take it," she finally says, turning back to me. There are tears in her eyes, but her voice is firm. "Clara, I love you," I say, crossing the room to her. "These past months with you, I've never been happier." She places her hand on my chest, right over my heart. "And I love you. That's why you have to go. This is bigger than us, Ethan. Those creatures need you. The ocean needs you." I pull her close, breathing in the familiar scent of paint and salt air. "This will be hard. So hard. I'll be fine. I have my work, and you know how I can get caught up in my painting. I'll have a whole new season completed by the time you get back. 6 months will go very fast." Go and don't worry about me," she says as she squeezes my hand. "These creatures are dying, Ethan. You can't divide your attention." She's right. Of course she's right. It's one of the things I love about her. Her ability to see the bigger picture, to understand that sometimes love means letting go for a while. "Right," I promise, my voice rough. "I'll send you photos of every manta ray we tag, every coral reef we study." She smiles through her tears. "And I'll send you pictures of my paintings. Maybe I'll do a series on manta rays, keep them alive in people's minds here while you save them out there. We spend the rest of the evening on her balcony, holding each other as the stars emerge. She asks me questions about manta rays, their feeding habits, their mysterious migrations, the threats they face. I tell her everything I know, and she listens with the same intensity she brings to her art. Later, much later, as she sleeps beside me, I watch the moonlight play across her face and think about the vastness of oceans, about sacrifice and purpose, about how sometimes the hardest choices are also the clearest. I've spent my life studying marine species, fighting for survival. Now I understand that sometimes survival means leaving safe harbors, venturing into deeper waters. The ship rocks gently against the dock in this tiny port town in Indonesia. The sun is setting, painting the sky in the exact shades of coral pink that Clara loves to use in her twilight seascapes. I pull out my worn notebook, the pages already warped from the constant humidity. There is no phone contact out here on distant lands, just as it isn't out there on the oceans. And so I have to write to her the old-fashioned way. It's not good enough by a long shot. I'd give anything to hear her voice, to tell her in person, but there is no way. Time is of the essence, and our ship will be going out into deep waters with the new tide. Dr. Chen's words from this morning still echo in my head. Ethan, we need you to lead the expanded project. What we're discovering about the manta rays' breeding patterns could revolutionize marine protection zones across the Pacific. The opportunity is unprecedented. Triple the funding, 5 more years, and control over conservation policy implementation across 12 countries. But Clara's last letter sits beside me, dog-eared from countless readings. Her words, describing her new series of paintings inspired by our time together. The way she misses walking the beach with me, how she falls asleep listening to the recordings of whale songs I sent her. Each sentence is both a lifeline and a knife to my heart. Taking a deep breath, I begin to write. My dearest Clara, the sun is setting here in Indonesia, and all I can think about is how you would capture these colors, the way the light plays on the water, the subtle gradients in the sky that you always see before anyone else. I miss watching you paint. I miss the way you scrunch your nose when you're concentrating, the smudges of color that always end up in your hair, the passion in your voice when you talk about your art. Something has happened here that I need to tell you about. We've made breakthrough discoveries about manta ray breeding grounds, findings that could change everything we thought we knew about marine conservation. The project is expanding, and they've asked me to lead it. 1 year, Clara. 1 more year of implementing real change, of creating protected zones that could save not just the mantas but entire ecosystems. My heart is torn in two. Half of it is there with you, walking the shores we love, dreaming of our future together. The other half is here, watching these magnificent creatures glide through waters that might not exist for our children if we don't act now. I know it's selfish to ask you to wait. I know 1 more year is an eternity when we've already been apart for so long. But I also know that if I don't see this through, if I don't give everything I have to this fight, I wouldn't be the man you fell in love with. Remember that night on your balcony when we talked about making a difference? You said that sometimes love means having the courage to put something bigger than ourselves first. You were right, as you so often are. I promise you this. Every day I'm out here, every manta ray we save, every coral reef we protect, I'm doing it for us, for the ocean we both love, for the future we believe in. When this is done, when I've built something that will last, I'll come home to you. If you can find it in your heart to wait, I'll spend the rest of my life making up for these years apart. There's so much more to say, but the supply boat leaves soon and this letter needs to go with it. Know that I love you, Clara. I love you with the constancy of the tides, with the depth of the ocean itself. I'll write to you every day, tell the sea I miss her, but not as much as I miss you. All my love. Ethan. Peace. I saw a manta ray breach yesterday, spinning 3 times before splashing back into the waves. It reminded me of you, dancing in your studio that night when you finished your whale series. Some beauty can't be captured in words or paint, it has to be lived. I read the letter once more, feeling each word like a physical ache in my chest. The ship's horn sounds, a warning that we'll be departing soon. Folding the paper carefully, I seal it in an envelope and write Clara's address with painstaking clarity. I add extra postage, knowing the remote location might complicate delivery. I hand the letter to James, who will take everyone's letters to the port's postal clerk and say a silent prayer to whatever forces govern the tides and hearts of people in love. Let her understand. Let her wait. Let this not be goodbye, but just a longer journey to our shared destination. The sun has fully set now, and the first stars are appearing. Somewhere across these vast waters, Clara might be looking at these same stars. For now, that will have to be enough.
The letter arrives on a stormy day, the kind where the ocean seems to mirror my growing unease. My hands tremble as I recognize Ethan's handwriting, and I instinctively rest one hand on my swelling belly. Our secret that he doesn't know about yet. The words blur before my eyes as I read, each sentence hitting like waves against rocks during a tempest. 5 years. He wants to extend his 1-year project to 5 years. My knees give way, and I sink onto my studio couch, the letter shaking in my hands. I can't ask you to wait. You deserve a chance at happiness, at a life without the weight of waiting. Find someone who can give you what I can't. Please don't try to contact me. It will make it worse for the both of us. A sob tears from my throat, raw and primal. The baby kicks, as if sensing my distress, and I curl around my stomach protectively. 6 months of carrying this miracle, waiting for the right moment to tell him, hoping his 1-year project would end and he'd come home to this wonderful surprise. Holt doesn't want us, I whisper to my unborn child, the words tasting like salt and betrayal. He's chosen his manta rays over us. I force myself to read the rest of the letter, each carefully crafted sentence about his important work, his career, his future, none of it including me. The paper crumples in my fist as another wave of nausea hits me, different from the morning sickness I've grown accustomed to. This is heartbreak, pure and simple. Standing on shaky legs, I walk to my easel where my latest piece sits unfinished, an underwater scene of 2 humpback whales, a mother and calf. The symbolism isn't lost on me, and a bitter laugh escapes my lips. With trembling hands, I grab my largest brush and dip it in stormy gray, slashing across the canvas in violent strokes. Hours pass as I paint through my pain, transforming the serene scene into something darker, more turbulent. The whales remain, but now they swim through waters choked with shadows, the mother protecting her baby from unseen threats. It's raw, it's angry, it's everything I can't say out loud. We'll be fine, I tell my bump, wiping tears and paint from my cheeks. We don't need him. I'll give you everything, the ocean, art, love, so much love. Night falls, and I'm still painting, starting new canvases, each one darker and more powerful than the last. My art has always been my voice, my therapy, my way of processing the world. Now it will be my strength, my way forward. In the soft glow of my studio lights, I make a decision. I won't tell him about the baby. He made his choice, his career, his precious project, his 5 years of freedom. Our child deserves more than being an afterthought, a complication in his carefully planned life. Your father loves the ocean more than anything, I whisper to my belly, watching the moonlight dance on the waves outside my window. But I'll love you more than the ocean, the sky, and all the stars combined. I scrunch the latter into a tiny ball and throw it in the bottom of my desk. Then I turn to a fresh canvas, the largest I've ever attempted. This piece will be different. A mother whale, magnificent and strong, guiding her calf through bioluminescent waters. No shadows, no threats, just the pure, fierce love of a mother protecting her young. As I work, I feel my baby move again, and for the first time since reading the letter, I smile. We'll create our own story, my child and I, painted in colors of courage and survival. Ethan may have his manta rays and his grand mission, but I have something far more precious growing beneath my heart. The sun rises, finding me still at my easel, covered in paint, my tears long dried. I've painted through the night, through the pain, through the end of one dream and the beginning of another. The mother whale on my canvas seems to sing a silent lullaby to her calf, and I know we're going to be okay. We have to be.
1 year later. My heart pounds as I push open the gallery door, still in my field clothes, khakis with too many pockets and my worn research jacket. I probably should have changed, but after docking an hour ago, my only thought was finding Clara. Her empty house, the disconnected phone number, the years of silence. It all led me here, to this gallery opening I learned about from her old neighbor. Why did she never write to me? The familiar scent of wine and pretension fills the air, but I barely notice. My eyes scan the crowd, searching for the one person who's occupied my thoughts for the past year. The one person whose silence has haunted me. You should see her mother and child series, I overhear someone say, and my feet automatically move in that direction. Then I see her. Clara stands across the room, more beautiful than ever, in a deep blue dress that flows like water. She's speaking to a group of admirers, her hands moving expressively as she explains her work. My heart constricts. 1 year feels like an eternity. Then my eyes drift to the massive canvas behind her, and my world tilts on its axis. The painting shows a woman holding a baby against an oceanic backdrop. Bioluminescent creatures swim through dark waters around them, creating a protective circle of light. But it's the baby's eyes that stop my breath, my eyes, staring out from the canvas with an uncanny familiarity, the same shade of amber, the same slight upward tilt at the corners. My heart pounds as I notice other details, the shape of her nose, the dimple in her chin, details I see every morning in my mirror. Clara, I breathe, and somehow she hears me across the crowded room. Our eyes meet, and I watch the color drain from her face. For a moment, she looks like she might faint. She excuses herself from her group and practically runs toward me, grabbing my arm with surprising strength. "Ethan, what are you doing here?" she hisses, pulling me into a quiet corner. Her perfume, still that same hint of jasmine, makes my head spin. "You're supposed to be gone for 5 years. 5 years." I shake my head, confused. It was a 1-year project. Clara, that baby in the painting. Don't. Her voice cracks like a breaking wave. You don't get to ask about her. You gave up that right when you told me to move on with my life, when you chose your precious career over everything else. What are you talking about? A small commotion interrupts us. An older woman approaches, carrying a beautiful toddler with my eyes and Clara's smile. "Sorry to interrupt, Clara," she says, "but someone's asking for her mama." "Thank you, Mom," Clara says. The world stops spinning as the little girl reaches for Clara. "Mama!" she squeals, and Clara takes her, holding her close like a shield. The baby's dark curls bounce as she settles against Clara's shoulder, and I see my mother's features in her tiny face. "He's mine," I whisper, the truth hitting me like a physical blow. My knees feel weak. "How? When?" "I was 6 months pregnant when I received your letter," Clara says, her voice tight with suppressed emotion. Tears shine in her eyes, but she blinks them back fiercely. "Telling me not to wait, to find someone else, that your work was more important than us. Well, congratulations, Dr. Rivera, your manta rays are saved. Now please leave us alone." "Clara, wait." I reach for her arm as she turns away, my voice desperate. "I never sent that letter like that. I wrote about waiting for me, about building a future together. I wrote about how much I loved you, how every day away was torture. I don't understand." She stares at me, confusion flickering across her face. The baby, my daughter, watches me with curious eyes, and my heart constricts painfully. She has Clara's nose, my mother's chin, and something entirely her own in her. Her name is Lily. She'll be 18 months old next week. She swallows hard. "Lily," I repeat, reaching out instinctively. To my surprise, Lily grabs my fingers, and something inside me breaks. Years of scientific detachment crumble in the face of this small miracle. Clara, please, something's very wrong here. The letter you received, it wasn't what I wrote. We need to talk about this. Tears well in Clara's eyes as she looks from me to our daughter and back again. I can see the battle raging behind her eyes. Not here, she says finally, pulling Lily closer. After the exhibition, we'll talk after. I nod, unable to take my eyes off Lily. My daughter. The word echoes in my mind like a sonar ping, bouncing off the walls of my heart. I'll wait, I say, meaning so much more than just tonight. I'll wait as long as it takes. Clara's expression hardens, and I see the walls she's built, the pain she's carried. As she walks away with our daughter in her arms, I realize that saving endangered species was nothing compared to the challenge ahead. Earning back the trust of the woman I love and getting to know the daughter I never knew I had. The painting of Clara and Lily seems to watch me, a testament to everything I've missed, everything I need to understand. Something went terribly wrong with that letter, and I'm going to find out what. I owe it to Clara, to Lily, to the family I didn't know I had. In the reflection of the gallery window, I catch sight of my colleague James, shifting uncomfortably near the exit. The way he won't meet my eyes, the nervous adjustment of his tie. Suddenly, pieces start falling into place. But first, I need to focus on Clara and Lily. Everything else, including potential betrayals, can wait.
After the last guest leaves the gallery, I hand a sleeping Lily to my mother. Can you take her home? I'll see you back later. I glance at Ethan, who stands by my ocean series, studying each piece like they hold answers to questions he hasn't asked yet. I need to handle this. Mom squeezes my hand. Call me if you need anything, sweetheart. She knows everything. How I cried myself sick when I got his letter. How I painted through my pregnancy. How I've raised Lily, telling her the ocean was her father's first love. Once they're gone, I retrieve the letter from my studio office. I've kept it all this time, tucked away in a drawer with Lily's first ultrasound photo. The paper is flattened out, but is still creased from the ball I scrunched it up into a year ago. 18 months of anger, hurt, and lonely nights are folded into these pages. If you've forgotten, this is the letter you wrote to me, I say, thrusting it at him. This is why I didn't tell you about Lily. This is why I carried our baby alone, why I went through morning sickness and doctor's appointments in labor without you. This is why I've spent 18 months being both mother and father to our daughter. Ethan takes the letter, his hands shaking slightly. As he reads, his face goes pale. Clara, this isn't... I never wrote this. This isn't even my handwriting. Shh. What? The word comes out as barely a whisper. The letter I wrote you was pages long. I told you I loved you, that I wanted a future with you. I never said anything about 5 years or moving on without me, he says. The room tilts on its axis. A year of pain, of midnight feedings alone, of explaining to my parents why the man I loved abandoned us, of watching my daughter grow with his eyes but without his presence. It all crashes over me. You only wrote me 1 letter. I turn and pace. No, you don't get to do this. You don't get to walk in here after a year and claim some kind of misunderstanding. Where were you, Ethan? Where were your calls, your emails, any attempt to reach me? He steps toward me, but I back away. Clara, please. I threw up every morning for 3 months after that letter came. I gave birth to our daughter holding a nurse's hand instead of yours, and when they placed her on my chest, she had your eyes, and it broke me all over again. My voice cracks. You knew where my studio was. You knew my email, my phone number. If you really wanted me, why write only 1 letter? I didn't stop at just 1 letter, Clara. I wrote to you every day. He runs his hands through his hair in frustration. The project had us in remote locations, and there was no other way to contact you. I posted them at every port. Convenient, I say bitterly. And these letters? Where are they now? I sent them through the project's mail system. James was handling. He stopped suddenly, his face darkening. James. He was in charge of all outgoing and incoming mail. The name means nothing to me, but the implications send a chill down my spine. Still, the hurt is too deep, too raw. Do you know what it's like, I ask, my voice barely above a whisper, to feel your baby move and have no one to share it with, to look at ultrasound photos alone, to practice what you'll say when your child eventually asks about their father? Tears are streaming down my face now, but I can't stop. Lily had colic for the first 3 months. She would only sleep if I walked her by the ocean, so every night I would pace the beach with our daughter, watching the waves and wondering if you were out there somewhere, if you ever thought about what you left behind. Except I didn't know I was left behind, did I? Because apparently you didn't leave at all. Ethan's face is ashen. Clara, if I had known about Lily. But you didn't know. I cut him off. Because you never told me where you'd be or even how to contact you. That's not fair, he says quietly. Fair, I laugh, and it sounds hollow even to my ears. Fair was taken from us, apparently by someone named James. Fair was stolen from Lily before she was even born. Fair is what I tried to be when I told our daughter that her father loved the ocean so much he had to go save it. I sink into a chair, suddenly exhausted. I don't know what to do with this information, Ethan. I don't know how to unfeel a year of abandonment just because it might have been based on a lie. I don't know how to trust that this isn't just another way for my heart to be broken. He kneels before me but doesn't try to touch me. Tell me what you need. Tell me how to fix this. I need time, I say, wiping my eyes. I need to process this. And I need to understand exactly what happened. I need to know who this James is and why he would do this to us. Because right now I'm looking at my daughter's father, and I'm seeing both the man I loved and the man who I thought broke my heart. And I don't know how to reconcile those two people. I'll find out, he promises. I'll get to the bottom of this. But Clara, please don't shut me out. Not from you and not from Lily. I've missed so much already. I stand up, gathering my strength. I'm not making any promises tonight. You need to understand. You're not just asking me to trust you again. You're asking me to risk our daughter's heart, too. And that's not a decision I can make while standing in a gallery, with my world turned upside down.
I find James in his office at the Marine Research Center, surrounded by his precious papers and accolades. The sight of him sitting there, calmly reviewing documents as if he hadn't destroyed lives, makes my blood boil. He looks up, his fake smile faltering when he sees my expression. Eden, welcome back. How's the... I slam Clara's letter down on his desk, cutting him off. Explain this. He glances at it, and I watch the color drain from his face. I don't know what you mean. Don't! My voice is deadly quiet. Don't you dare lie to me. Funny how Clara never received any letter I write to her except this one. I jab my finger at the paper. This isn't in my handwriting, but it sure looks like yours. He starts to stand, but I plant both hands on his desk, leaning forward. Sit. Down. He sinks back into his chair. Do you know what you did? My voice shakes with rage. Do you have any idea what you stole from us? I have a daughter, James, a beautiful, perfect little girl who spent the first year of her life without her father because of you. The project needed you focused, he stammers. Your relationship was a distraction. I was trying to... To what? I roar, making him flinch. To advance your career? To take my position? Well, congratulations, you succeeded. You also forced the woman I love to go through pregnancy alone, to give birth without me there, to raise our child thinking I had abandoned them. I pick up the framed photo of his family on his desk. How would you feel if someone had stolen a year of your daughter's life from you? If someone had made your wife believe you didn't want her anymore? Then please, he says, I can explain. Explain? I laugh, and it's a harsh sound. Explain how you intercepted every letter I wrote to Clara? Explain how you forged a letter in my name telling her to move on? Explain how you watched me grieve her silence for a year, knowing what you'd done? I pull out my phone, showing him the screen. I've already spoken to the board. They have copies of this forged letter. Your career with this organization is over. His face crumples. You can't. I can and I did, but that's just the beginning. I straighten up, my voice cold. The police are very interested in mail fraud and forgery charges. Clara's lawyer will be contacting you about emotional distress and damages. But first, I lean down, getting right in his face. You're going to write out exactly what you did, every detail, every letter you stole, every lie you told, and then you're going to sign it. And you're going to apologize to Clara for stealing a year of our daughter's life. And if I refuse? I smile, but there's no warmth in it. Then I'll make sure every research institution, every conservation organization, and every university knows exactly what kind of man you are. Your choice. He reaches for a pen with trembling hands. More thing, I say, my voice dropping to a dangerous whisper. If you ever come near my family again, if you ever so much as look at Clara or Lily, what I've done to your career will seem like a kindness. Are we clear? He nods, unable to meet my eyes. As I watch him write his confession, I think of Clara's tears, of Lily's first steps that I missed, of all the moments stolen from us. No punishment will ever be enough, but this is a start. My phone buzzes, a message from Clara with a picture of Lily playing on the beach. My rage subsides slightly, replaced by determination. I can't get back the time we lost, but I can make sure we don't lose another moment. I'll make this right. For Clara, for Lily, for the family that James tried to destroy but only made stronger. When James finishes writing, I snatch the paper from him. The board meets tomorrow at 9. Your resignation letter better be on their desk by 8. I turn to leave, then pause at the door. You know what the worst part is, James? I would have helped you advance your career if you just asked. Instead, you chose this. Remember that when you're explaining to your own daughter why you lost everything. I leave him there, broken in his office full of hollow achievements. There's a family waiting for me, and I've wasted enough time already.
I sit at my studio desk, reading James's confession for the third time, my hands trembling. Each word is like a knife, carving deeper into the wound of what was stolen from us. Outside, I hear Lily's delighted squeals as she plays with my mother in the garden, and my heart aches anew. I intercepted all communications, systematically destroyed letters, forged the 5-year rejection letter, monitored phone messages. Tears blur my vision as I reach the part about Ethan's actual letters. Dozens of them, each destroyed before they could reach me. Letters about his work, his love, his plans for our future. Letters that would have changed everything. Dr. Rivera spoke of you constantly. He had plans to return early, to surprise you. When he received the project extension offer, he declined it immediately, saying his future was with you. A sob escapes me. 18 months. 18 months of thinking Ethan had chosen his career over us. 18 months of telling myself I was stronger alone. 18 months of watching our daughter grow, capturing each milestone in photographs that should have been shared memories. The studio door opens quietly, and Ethan steps in. He's changed from his field clothes into jeans and a simple blue shirt, but his eyes are red-rimmed and fierce. He's been crying too. "Clara," he says softly. "She took her first steps right there," I whisper, pointing to the spot near my easel. "She was reaching for a paintbrush I'd dropped. I grabbed my camera so fast." I look up at him, vision swimming. "I should have been sharing those photos with you. You should have been here." He crosses the room slowly, as if afraid I'll bolt. "I'm so sorry, Clara. If I had any idea—" "When she was born," I continue, my voice breaking. "She had trouble breathing at first, just for a few minutes, but they were the longest minutes of my life. I kept thinking, Ethan would know what to do. Ethan would make this better. But you weren't there, and it wasn't even your fault." He kneels beside my chair, and this time, I don't pull away when he takes my hand. Oh, those nights I spent hating you, I whisper. All those times I looked at Lily and felt such a mix of love and pain because she has your eyes, your smile, and all along you were trying to reach us. I'm here now, he says firmly, and I'm never leaving again. Through the window I hear Lily's laugh again, and something inside me breaks and mends all at once. She loves the tide pools, I tell him, squeezing his hand. She could spend hours watching the hermit crabs, just like you used to. Last week, she found a starfish and gave it a full scientific lecture, complete with baby babble. I recorded it because... I pause, swallowing hard. Because I always hoped somehow, someday, you'd want to see it. Ethan's other hand comes up to cup my cheek, thumbing away tears. Show me everything, he pleads. Every video, every photo. Tell me every story. I want to know everything about our daughter. She asks about you, I admit. Not directly, she's too young, but she points at the ocean and says, Dada, because that's what I told her, that her daddy loves the ocean and the creatures in it. I love you both more, he says fiercely. I'll spend the rest of my life proving it, if you'll let me. I look down at James's confession again, at all the moments he stole from us, from Lily. But then I look at Ethan, at the love and determination in his eyes, and I make a decision. We can't get back what was taken from us, I say slowly. But Lily deserves to know her father, and I take a deep breath. I never stopped loving you, Ethan. Even when I thought you'd chosen your work over us, I loved you, and now, he prompts gently. Now, I think it's time for you to meet your daughter properly. I stand, pulling him up with me. She's in the garden, probably covering herself in sand from her beach toys. Fair warning, she has your curiosity and my stubborn streak. Ethan laughs through his tears. She sounds perfect. She is, I say, leading him toward the door. And Ethan, welcome home. As we walk out to meet our daughter, I feel 18 months of pain beginning to heal. We can't reclaim what James stole, but we can build something new, something stronger, something complete. Something that starts today with a father meeting his daughter by the ocean they both love. I watch Ethan teaching Lily about tide pools, both of them crouched by the water's edge in the early morning light. She sits perfectly in the curve of his arm, pointing at tiny crabs, completely at ease with him after just a few weeks. My heart swells and contracts simultaneously, love and fear dancing their eternal dance. Daddy, look! Lily squeals as a hermit crab scuttles past, and I have to brace myself against the surge of emotion. She took to calling him Daddy so naturally, so completely. Sometimes I wonder if some part of her knew all along. But late at night, when they're both asleep, the fears creep in. What if another project comes along? What if the call of research pulls him away again? I've learned to be strong alone, but Lily, she's fallen so completely in love with her father. I don't know if I could bear watching her heart break.
I feel Clara's eyes on us as I show Lily how to gently hold a sea star. Every moment with them feels like a gift and a burden, joy mixed with the crushing weight of time lost. Lily points to something in the water, and I find myself explaining the basics of bioluminescence to a toddler who probably can't understand yet, but who watches me with such trust in her eyes that it takes my breath away. Again, Daddy, she demands when I finish, and the word both heals and hurts. I'm her daddy now, yes, but where was I when she first smiled, first walked, first spoke?
Later that evening, after Lily's asleep, I find Ethan on the studio balcony, staring at the ocean. I wrap my arms around myself, gathering courage. I saw the email, I say quietly. The one from the International Research Center. He turns, his expression pained. Clara, it's an amazing opportunity, I continue, fighting to keep my voice steady. 6 months in the Great Barrier Reef. Groundbreaking research. I'm not going, he says firmly. No. He crosses the space between us. Listen to me. I'm not leaving. Not for 6 months, not for 6 days. I've missed too much already. You can't put your career on hold forever, I whisper, voicing my deepest fear. The ocean is part of who you are.
I take her face in my hands, needing her to understand. You and Lily are who I am. Everything else is just work. I'm scared, she admits, and I see the vulnerability she usually keeps hidden. Not just of you leaving again. I'm scared of how much Lily loves you already, how much I still love you. We've built this beautiful thing so quickly, and I'm terrified of losing it. I have nightmares, I confess, pulling her closer. About all the moments I missed. About Lily calling another man daddy. About you facing everything alone. I wake up panicking that I'll miss something else.
So what do we do? I ask, letting myself lean into him. How do we move forward, carrying all these fears? We build something new, he says. Something that combines all of it. My research, your art, our family. I've been talking to the local Marine Center. They want to create a position for a resident researcher, someone to bridge the gap between science and public education. Here, hope flutters in my chest. Here, he confirms. No more long expeditions. No more choosing between career and family. And, he hesitates. I was thinking we could collaborate. Your art, my research. Show people the beauty and science of what we're trying to save.
I bought a ring, I blurt out. It's not about making up for lost time or rushing things. It's about promising you and Lily that I'm here, completely and forever. You don't have to answer now, just know that when you're ready, when you trust that I'm not going anywhere, it's yours.
Tears blur my vision as I reach up to touch his face. Show me, I whisper. He pulls out a small box, opening it to reveal a ring with a pearl surrounded by tiny sapphires. It reminded me of the first time I saw you painting the ocean at sunrise. Ask me, I say softly. Clara, ask me. The sunset paints the private beach in shades I once tried to capture on canvas but could never quite perfect. Nature, I've learned, has a way of outdoing art every time. Our closest friends and family gather in a small semicircle near the water's edge, while Lily, in her tiny flower girl dress, tosses seashells instead of petals, making everyone laugh. Mom, halak, she calls out, holding up a seagull's feather she's found in the sand, her father's eyes sparkling with excitement. Ethan scoops her up, and my heart swells watching them together. These past 6 months have been a journey of healing, of rebuilding, of creating something even stronger than what was lost. I catch sight of a newspaper article in my mom's bag, the latest update on James Henderson's fall from grace. He's working as a night janitor at a small community college in Nebraska now, about as far from the ocean as he could get. The marine biology community closed ranks completely after the truth came out. His deception struck at the heart of scientific integrity. Last I heard, he couldn't even get a job teaching high school biology. Part of me feels satisfaction, but mostly I'm just grateful his actions didn't permanently destroy what Ethan and I have. Ready? Ethan mouths to me from where he stands with Lily. I nod, taking my father's arm. The path to this moment hasn't been easy. There were nights of long talks, of tears, of working through the pain of lost time. But there were beautiful moments, too. Lily's first swimming lesson with her daddy, family picnics by the tide pools, watching father and daughter fall asleep on the couch after long days of marine exploration. Ethan's work at the local Marine Center has flourished. His public education programs combine my art with his science, teaching children about ocean conservation through both beauty and facts. Last week, He took Lily's preschool class on a tide pool expedition, and I've never seen him happier than when he was explaining starfish biology to a group of awestruck 4-year-olds. Yet, John's memorandum declared that 4 years before his death, Lily's first 4-year-old, my father squeezes my arm, bringing me back to the present. He's a good man, he whispers. He came back. He never really left, I reply, understanding now how true that is. As we reach the water's edge, Lily breaks free from Ethan's arms to hug my legs. "Mama pretty," she declares, and everyone chuckles. She's wearing the seahorse necklace Ethan gave her last week, a symbol of how seahorse fathers carry their babies. His way of showing her that fathers can be nurturers too. The ceremony is simple and perfect. Instead of traditional vows, we share the letters we would have sent during that lost year. Letters we've finally written to each other, full of all the love and hope we never stopped feeling. Ethan's voice breaks when he reads about how proud he is to be Lily's father, how grateful he is for second chances. "The ocean taught me something," I say when it's my turn. "That no matter how strong the tide pulls things apart, it always brings them back to shore. We found our way back to each other and we're stronger for the journey." When Ethan slides the ring onto my finger, pearl and sapphires catching the last rays of sunset, Lily claps delightedly. "Now we match, Mama," she exclaims, holding up her tiny shell ring. "Yes, baby," I laugh through happy tears. "Now we all match." The reception is a bonfire on the beach, with Lily falling asleep in her father's lap as we all share stories and s'mores. I watch my new husband cuddling our daughter, and I realize that sometimes life's greatest gifts come disguised as its greatest challenges. Later, as we walk along the shoreline hand in hand, Ethan tells me about his latest project, a children's book combining my illustrations with his marine biology knowledge, dedicated to Lily. "For the little girl who bridges the worlds of art and science," he says, just like her mother. I lean into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. The ocean whispers its ancient songs to us, but now they're songs of unity, of family, of love that survives all storms. James tried to pull us apart, but instead we've built something even more beautiful. A family that celebrates both the scientist and the artist, the logic and the heart, the facts and the feelings. "I love you," I whisper to my husband, to the father of my child, to the man who came back. "I love you more," he replies, and Lily stirs between us, mumbling something about seahorses in her sleep. We stand there, the three of us, watching the moonlight dance on the waves. Sometimes the greatest masterpieces aren't painted on canvas. They're lived, one precious moment at a time, by a family that was always meant to be.
Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed the story, hit subscribe so you never miss a new tale. Your support means the world. See you in the next chapter.